Hi, I'm Ron Mulligan, and this is an introduction to what's going to be a three-part series, Remodeling for a Lifetime. I used to think this meme was a little bit humorous, but I don't feel that way anymore. Not long ago, my mom slipped in the shower, and she was on the floor for hours before anybody discovered her and helped her up. It wasn't a tragedy, but it was terrible for her. And after this tragedy, my wife and I decided, well, we're going to have to help mom make some changes to her home. But what are we going to do? What exactly do you do to make a home more livable? And my wife and I, we're not getting any younger either. So this is going to be good for us because we're going to soon be in the same situation that our aging parents are in. We're going to have to make some changes to our own home so that we can stay in it longer. Imagine what it would feel like if you didn't feel at home in your own home, that you weren't able to use all of it. Imagine what it would feel like if you couldn't stay in your home, if you couldn't age in place, as they say. Imagine what it would feel like if you knew that your home posed some serious hazards. In the next few minutes, I'll cover three topics. The first is a philosophy called universal design. Then I'll move on to how projects are done. And finally, I'll wrap things up with a really brief discussion on how projects are funded. Universal design is the idea that a building or space can be designed and built in a way that makes it accessible for a wide range of people. There is no one size fits all for humans. In the United States, 1 in 5 people has a disability, either physical or mental, that can affect the way they travel through, use, or perceive a space. Height, hand dominance, body size, and age are all factors that universal design takes into consideration. Changes to the home environment inspired by universal design range from a thorough reworking of the whole house to simple, low-cost changes to a single space. Universal design applies to the entire house, and it's founded on 7 bedrock principles. Here they are. Number 1, equitable use. The design is useful and marketable to people with diverse abilities. Number 2, flexibility in use. The design accommodates a wide range of individual preferences and abilities. Number 3, simple and intuitive use. The design is easy to understand regardless of the user's experience, knowledge, language skills, or current concentration level. Number 4, space and space for approach. Appropriate size and space is provided for approach, reach, manipulation, and use, regardless of the user's body size, posture, or mobility. 5, perceptible information. The design communicates necessary information effectively to that user, regardless of ambient conditions or the user's sensory abilities. Number 6, tolerance for error. The design minimizes hazards and the adverse consequences of accidental or unintended actions. And finally, number 7, low physical effort. The design can be used efficiently and comfortably and with a minimum of fatigue. And just so you know, universal design will not make your home less desirable when it comes time for you to sell it. Project scope encompasses all the work needed for the project, but you'll see that there's two very important constraints: time and money. If your project scope is such that the cost for the project is going to sail past about $5,000, you're going to have to add a designer to your team. That designer could be a competent expert in remodeling, such as a designer for the bathroom or a designer for the kitchen. But if the scope is such that you're going to be up in the tens of thousands of dollars and the work's going to involve moving structure around, like walls and plumbing fixtures or extensive electrical work, then you need to go with an architect. Architects are licensed in the state where they do business, and they're highly competent and knowledgeable in the areas of universal design and building codes. In the second segment of this three-part series, we're going to camp out on this topic for quite some time. At this point, what I will tell you is simply this: work with a licensed contractor. Yes, your neighbor or someone in your family may know a guy who's done scores of renovations and has never bothered to get a license. Don't do it. Work with a licensed contractor. Of course, projects have to be paid for. When it comes to financing a project, there are alternatives. The first is obviously cash. For those of us that don't have a reservoir of cash that we can tap into, the most likely source of funding for our project is going to be some form of loan. In the third installment of this series, we will take a deep dive into the subject of project financing. And let me tell you, there is a staggering array of loan products available to us. If cash and loans don't cover the total project, it might be possible to get a grant. So we will take a close look at the grants that are available for funding projects that improve the accessibility in the home. In the aftermath of a near tragedy in our family, my wife and I have taken a very close look at universal design because we want to make some changes to my mother's house that will make it possible for her to live in her home safely for years to come. We're learning that a home can have characteristics that make it feel disabling. There could also very well be hazards in the home. We're confident that universal design will make it possible for our mother to stay in her home for the rest of her life. Now, here are some of the resources that we've been looking at. I would strongly recommend that you go to homemods.org. It is a great first place to go. Homemods.org is produced by USC, University of Southern California. It is an outstanding resource. You can also get your own copy of Residential Remodeling and Universal Design online for free. You can download a PDF copy. If you prefer to have a hard copy, then you can also buy that publication at Amazon.com. Well, thanks for watching and listening, and be watching for the next installment in this series where I'm going to take a very deep dive into universal design. We're going to camp out there for about half an hour and immerse ourselves in each of the 7 core principles. Take care.